Dharma Bites is brought to you by Free Buddhist Audio, the Dharma for your life. Our work is funded entirely by donations from our generous listeners. If you would like to help us keep this free, make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. Thank you, and happy listening.
So the next chapter is on the perfection of patience, of kshanti, the perfection of forbearance. And again, he often starts the chapter with something that kind of is quite strong, isn't it? And so here he says, whatever wholesome deeds, such as venerating the Buddhas and generosity, that have been amassed over 1,000 aeons, will all be destroyed in one moment of anger. So he's, got that sense of urgency again, hasn't he? And there is no evil like hatred, no fortitude like patience. Thus should I strive in various ways to meditate on patience. The sense is here that anger just goes so against your bodhisattva vow. You vow to help and save and nurture all sentient beings, and then you're angry or hateful towards one of them. So you've kind of gone against that kind of aspiration, that motivation to have an open heart, because we know with anger that it kind of closes you down, don't we? Now, my experience of teaching this is that this raises lots of questions. A lot of people, we have lots of questions about anger and hatred and so on. And I think you just have to address them. And, Bhante has chosen, hasn't he, to discriminate between anger as a kind of energy, positive anger that breaks through. You use it with yourself, with your practice, you can break through injustice and so on. So he makes a distinction between anger in that sense, not to kind of suppress that. Anger is just an energy, but if that turns into a desire to harm, for hatred, malice, spite, all those wonderful mental states that arise out of that. This is what this chapter is talking about, the desire to retaliate, the desire for revenge. That obviously so goes against, one's bodhisattva aspiration. But I think you'll probably need to discuss. I remember years and years ago, Bhante, when he was first expanding out the mitra system, he asked, there were more and more mitras, he asked for mitras to fill in a form, which didn't go down that well. But he just wanted to gather information about people and people's practice. And I just remember one of the things he noticed reading those forms, which he told us on a women's seminar, was that, how many women put in their forms that they had some kind of experience of depression. He didn't think that the guys didn't have depression, they just didn't mention it. They have a different kind of approach to those sort of things. Women were kind of more emotionally, psychologically honest. But he really picked up on that, and he said he thought, this is before, I suppose, things like cognitive behaviour therapy and all the kind of, things that we do now in the movement to help people with depression. But I remember him saying, quite obvious, often depression is repressed. There's repressed anger. So, one needs to kind of, with oneself and others, find ways to encourage people to, get in touch with their energy. And that might, to begin with, be expressed in kind of anger. You have to hold that in balance with, with this kind of text. We need to get their energy out. Again, we don't need to be a block of wood in the sense of being kind of, totally sort of repressed, do we? We need to know what we feel. Whatever it is, however kind of lumpy and sticky and whatever it is, we need to know what it is. I suppose work with the psychological and then be able to work with the ethical, that you're not going to express that in terms of harm to others. So you need a big sort of perspective around this. But I suppose Shantideva is really focusing on non-retaliation, to not retaliate.
We hope you enjoyed today's Dharma Bite. Please help us keep this free. Make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. And thank you.